Moonies! Welcome to the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast. I'm your host, Victoria L. Johnson, and I'm here with Phil, the Blerd Explorer, author of the Black Traveler's Guide ebook series. Hey Phil, welcome to the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for coming on the show. I'm really excited to talk to you because I love South Korea. I've actually been to Seoul and Busan and Jeju Island.
Okay, nice.
But I've never been to Daegu, so I'm really excited to talk to you about that later.
Sure.
Yeah, but obviously, like most of the world, I love K-dramas, I love K-pop, and really excited about your book. But before we get into that, I have to ask you, what is your first memory of watching Sailor Moon?
Like many in the West, I would say Cartoon Network was my first introduction to Sailor Moon to Nami in the early mid 90s. I don't know who came first. I think it was either Dragon Ball came first, or usually I think it was Sailor Moon was first, then Dragon Ball came next. I only watched it, I think, because at the time, my older sister, who was in elementary school at the time, we both watched it, but then I stayed on because I didn't want to miss the intro to Dragon Ball Z.
That's so funny. You were like, "Oh, I'll watch this show."
Right,
so
and you know how it is, like back in the day when you were a kid, like boys like, "Ugh, it's a girl show," but low key is like, "Okay, the intro slaps."
Yeah, facts. Well, as you were watching the show inconspicuously, did you have any favorite episodes or moments?
I don't think so. I definitely remember the those PSAs they did, those cringy PSAs they had, and
yeah,
I was surprised to hear years later when I was an adult, like to find out that I didn't know this when watching the show, of course, that that they had quote unquote cousins when in fact they were a gay couple. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, censorship is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it's a lot. Like even the Sailor Moon Says PSAs at the end you mentioned, those were added into the English dub version because they cut so much to censor and they needed to add something to make up the 22 minutes or whatever. So it's so funny how so much of what we saw is just so much of a result of just them wanting to censor stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, what can you do?
Yeah, but yeah, those are iconic, and definitely will ask you to create your own later on too.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. But in the meantime, do you have a favorite Sailor Scout or Senshi?
No, I don't really have one. I don't think so. Well, no, I guess probably Sailor Jupiter because she's tall and I'm tall too.
Nice. Yeah, I've always said that I think Sailor Jupiter is the black people's favorite Sailor Scout.
Yeah. Really?
A lot of black people love Sailor Jupiter. Yeah, and I don't know why.
Okay, I'm actually curious on this. Why do you think so?
So my few thoughts are I think it's because she's kind of an outcast. Mm-hmm. She's tall and she's seen. A lot of people are afraid of her. Simply because of her appearance. Mm-hmm. Which a lot of black people can relate to.
Oh yeah, I can right now.
Right? Yeah, I'm sorry. And I also think black people just have a thing for green. I don't know what it is, but I feel we also love the Green Ranger and the Black Ranger, of course. Mm-hmm. Also love Boba Fett, and I guess Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in general. I'm trying to think who else, but I feel there's something there with just black people in green hair, even Piccolo, even though we claim him as black.
That's true.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel there's something there with black people in green. But those are really the only things I think. And obviously not every black person loves Sailor Jupiter. It's not their favorite, but I do find that a lot of black people love Sailor Jupiter.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah, but that is a great answer. She is a fan favorite in general, and she's such a good character. I do want to talk about you, as I mentioned, love Korea. What made you want to move to Korea?
Well, honestly, I was a senior year in college, about to be 25, and I needed a job because that's how I got here, really. But let's go back, rewind a bit. So it was fall 2015, last semester of college. As seniors do, you send out resumes, trying to go to job fairs. Nothing was landing, and then one day, I saw my university's job board about teaching English in South Korea. So I'm like, all right, I'll check a look at it. Because one, I always wanted to travel as a kid, but growing up in America, I never heard of a black person traveling for fun. And if it or lived abroad, if they did, they're mostly because they're in the military, almost always, particularly the army.
Right.
Like I never heard of a black person who's lived abroad ever. Like maybe I got one aunt or two that I may not know about, but that's about it. Everybody else, all the time I ever ask about anyone who's traveled abroad is because they're in the military.
Yeah, I feel like so many people take advantage of now. Like, there's so many people I know living abroad, but like, even just 10 years ago, like, that wasn't a thing.
That wasn't
and
a
I
thing,
remember,
no.
like, yeah, and I remember, like, being in Facebook groups with, like, Black people moving to South Korea to become teachers like yourself. And yeah, just, like, being like, okay, how is it? Are you good? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? And even even made it better for sadly made it better for me though when I visited in 2017, because especially when I was in Seoul, I feel like they were just so used to seeing Black people.
Yeah, that's Seoul and Busan. You'll be fine there, but outside of that, it's a
Yeah.
totally different story.
Yeah, no, I took a bus ride from what was it? I think it was from Seoul to somewhere, and like we had to like do a layover in like middle of nowhere, and there it was like weird. It was a lot. We got a lot of attention, me and my friend.
Oh yeah, I can confirm. Although to be fair, even when I go to Seoul, people will still stop to stare at me. But then I'm a giant, so I'm a giant dark-skinned black man, so it doesn't help.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, I'm 200 centimeters or 6'7".
Got it. Okay, I really needed that translation. I was like, I don't know centimeters. Yeah, that is really tall. Actually, I just realized. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, I could see how that would definitely, especially I feel like that would get attention probably anywhere.
Oh yeah.
Height alone. So, but yeah, it is a thing. That's cool though. So yeah, I completely agree. I also was tempted by like the teaching jobs over there because I was like, oh, you can make money, and like I don't know if this is your case, but I know a lot of times they pay for your like housing, and I was
yes,
like, man,
that's correct.
yeah. So I'm like, this is a really great way to like save money, pay off the student loan debt, be in another country, and just like live life.
That was the original plan to come when I came to Korea to pay off my student loan debt. It's 2020. I moved here in May 2016. As of this recording, I still haven't paid a student loan.
Oh
no! I know.
Well, I mean, the student loan system is broken anyways, and
oh yeah.
I'm just hoping somebody comes and forgives these loans because I've forgiven them already, and it needs someone else to agree with me. Yeah.
You and everybody else in the country was like, look, we were grateful for like the grace period. We need to keep it going. Like that helps so much. Because I'm hoping it keeps going for another year. Because right now my current job is coming to a close. I plan to renew it, and once it gets renewed, now I was like, okay, I'm comfortable, I'm stable, I can start making payments. I'm hoping that I'm stable again. So hoping that way, if they do another grace period, I can start paying them off easy.
Yeah, well, I am hoping for you too, because that's really just seems so great to like be able to do if you're able to. But yeah, how is it like being a teacher in Korea?
It's definitely interesting. Now I came through Korea like most folks through what we call the Hagwons or after school English academies. Type of academies, right? There are many type of Hagwons: math, science, art, and the most prominent one I did was English academies. So I've been doing that from 2016 up to February 2020, and in March 2020 I switched to public school, and I've been doing that since.
Nice. Cool. Cool. Is there any difference between the Hagwons and the public schools? I mean, obviously, besides one's being like a after school and being.
Well, Hagwons could be either morning, or all day, or evening, or late night. So depends on your preference. Public school again, you're working at elementary, middle school, high school, run by the local government. Depending on what city you're from, you're working in, of course. Each one has its pros and cons, but I prefer public school over Hagwons any day of the week.
Nice. Any particular reason?
Oh, I got some stories. I have some horrible bad experience with Hagwons.
Oh,
yeah, I have numerous ones. I actually made a couple TikTok videos about them too. explaining that.
What? I missed that. Oh my god, I gotta go watch them. Do you mind sharing one? As
Oh,
a
okay, I can give you one. The
Yeah.
first one, this actually happened my very first job. I worked at this. I can't say the name of the branch because Korea's defamation laws. It's a particular franchise, but that's a well-known franchise. But at this branch, I worked there from May 2016 up to August 2016, and around August, I paid. It's like the 10th came around, no one got paid. A few days passed, we still
Oh my
didn't get
god.
paid, and then we find out, oh, we're shutting down, and we're all out of a job, and no one, all the Korean staff, my fellow American co-teacher Destiny, and the bus driver, the cooks, no one got paid.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and
That's horrible.
thankfully, I want to say it was the secretary. The secretary, like she was able to get us a lawyer because normally when you go through the process of like filing a complaint with the labor board, Korean, it's a quote unquote Korean labor board, excuse me. It takes a little bit while, right? Because there's so many of these same similar stories happening all the time, even now in 2021. But thankfully, she was able to get a Korean lawyer, so she kind of like I guess made things a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
And so, fast forward to about I want to say spring 2017, I get a call from my former coach, Destiny, to say, "Hey, we need to go back to the city because so we can get our compensation." So I was able to get 2 months. So he cheated me out 2 months' salary, which I was able to get compensated.
Oh, that's good. I like a happy ending. Because, man, I was like, I know this is going to be bad because that is a 3-month employment period.
Yeah, that actually happened.
Wow.
Yeah, I also got fired over a teacher who was extremely late numerous times, like 2 hours late.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and my last one I had. This happened around April 2020. I quit my last Hogwarts job. I stopped working there back in February 2020. Around late March, early April, that former boss calls me to say, "Hey, I need you to return the TV to the apartment that you stay in that she provided, or I'm going to call the police on you." And I called her out on a bullshit because I told her there was no TV in that apartment when I first moved in.
Right.
2, I have the pictures in the chat to show that this TV that I have, I bought it from a fellow coworker that I bought from before he left. So she's basically trying to extort me and stuff.
Wait, so she was saying that you, like, the TV came with the apartment and you tried to take it?
No, yeah, she was trying to say that. But when I moved to the apartment, there was no TV.
No TV. Right.
There was a cable box, but there's no TV.
Yeah. Wow. I'm happy you had that proof because people are horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Well, I'm definitely going to check out those TikTok videos because I can tell you have a lot of stories.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, which kind of leads me to the next part is, you kind of compiled some of these stories and, some other things and some of your findings and experiences into a book, which is awesome. What made you want to start the Black Traveler's Guide ebook series?
Well, honestly, it's more due to, my content is more about Black travel being Blerd's content, right? What led me to start doing this is because due to a lack of Black travel content. This is during when I first moved to Korea, of course, back in the late 2010s. I realized that when you're looking when you look at travel in general, right, even to this day, travel space, most of the content creators, YouTubers, IG folk, most of them are mostly from white people's perspective, right? And when it comes to travel, especially for Black people, it's a totally different experience, right? And especially it depends what type of Black person and where you're from. For example, and I hate to say this, but a Black person from Africa is going to get a totally different experience than, say, a Black person from America or UK. I hate to say it, but it's true. And it was one of those scenarios where it's like, okay, if no one's going to do it, then I'll do it, And back in May 2020, I came up with the idea of saying, okay, let me try writing this guide. Like, if no one's going to make one, I'll do it myself. And during the summer, I kind of got put on temporary leave for my job because of the pandemic. So I spent the summer 2020 working on my first book called The Black Traveler's Guide to Incheon, South Korea.
Nice. Yeah, I actually don't know much about Incheon.
Yep. And that's why I wanted to do Incheon, because I could easily do Seoul or Busan, right? But I wanted to stand out. For one, I wanted to test the water. So I said, okay, let me start with a city that I actually live in right now. That's easier for me to get around in. which is Incheon at the time. I figured, okay, we'll start as a testing ground, and then maybe book number 2 we'll go somewhere else. And because, like I said, and for me, one reason I didn't want to focus on Seoul or Busan because they're overrated and oversaturated, completely oversaturated. Because you can find almost everything on Seoul and Busan.
Yeah, that makes
So I felt like
sense.
there would be no challenge, there's no thrill in it if everybody's done talking about it to death, Seoul to death. Like everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, you can find a lot of information on Seoul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And plus, everybody always wants to move to Seoul or Busan. I'm like, okay, that's not gonna make it more fun. If I'm gonna write about something that's you could literally take a 5-second Google check, you know.
Right. Yeah. Which leads me to like, so you have a new book about Daegu. Yeah. So I guess it was kind of like, was it a similar reasoning why you're like, I want to write a book about this?
Yeah, and I actually lived in Daegu before, from 2018
nice.
to 2019. It's actually so far it's one of my favorite cities that I lived in. I miss living there because the
I hear
location.
it's really nice.
Yeah, it really is. Because it's unique location, it made it easy to get around Korea too. It's a good sweet spot. And also, again, it's one of those cities like when people think of Korea, no one ever thinks about Daegu. Everybody thinks of Seoul or Busan. That's it. So that's what. So at least for now, for my content, what I'm trying to do, I wanted to show Korea that's not Seoul or Busan.
Yeah, that's really smart because I heard a lot about Daegu solely from like in the Facebook group I was in, like Black people who worked at Hagwons there.
Yeah.
And I just remember seeing like them saying like, oh, it's like really great and like, it's just as good as anywhere else. It's just not as popular or as many people are familiar with it. But and like looking through your book, I got it advanced reader's copy for anyone listening. But yeah, it's just like I'm looking through the pictures and I'm like, man, this is really cool. I actually wish I would have stopped in here.
I mean, you can fly there. You got the airport too, right there. So
yeah, I mean, between COVID and a 14-hour flight, I don't know.
I wouldn't recommend coming to Korea right now, anyway.
But I would definitely come though. I mean, this looks really cool. And yeah, I think I'm definitely due for another international trip. That's super cool. What would you say is the most interesting thing about Daegu?
Definitely, honestly, the Daegu Chimik Festival, the Fried Chicken and Beer Festival.
That sounds amazing.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. Oh, you missed it, especially when you were in Korea. You should have gone. So the Daegu. So for those who don't know, South Koreans love their fried chicken. I'll say more than Black people because literally everywhere you go in Korea, there's always a franchise or independent shop everywhere in Korea. Even in the small towns like where I'm at right now, there's like 7 or 8 of them. And it's marketing day too, so I'm gonna probably get some chicken too.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's another thing I noticed. A lot of fried chicken places in Korea, and I love their fried chicken too. It's just thin and crispy and just really good. All right, well, I definitely need to come back for that specifically because nothing motivates me more than food. That's cool to know. If you were to write another book, where would you want to write it about? And it, doesn't have to be be South Korea, like a dream place you would love to write about.
I'm actually working on my next book is going to be about South Korea this time, the whole part of South Korea.
Nice.
So, still working on that, but of course, I got to put it on pause on the shelf right now because of the case number. So, I would love to go out and do traveling, but got to be careful at the same time,
Yeah, that is so true.
But if I had a chance, I would definitely want to go to Taiwan. Because I've been to Taiwan once, and I had a great time for a 3-day trip back in 2019, and I've been dying to go back ever since. I'll also try maybe one from Malaysia or Thailand.
That would be cool. I don't think, well, I'm sure that there might be a book, but I can't think of a book with, for Black travelers in Taiwan, so that would be really dope. Where did you say your third book was going to take place?
I'm actually going to take place, this time I'm writing about South Korea as a whole.
Oh, as a whole, okay.
Yeah. So it's going to cover a lot of places around the country, South Korea. I have no idea when it's going to be released. To be fair, of course, again, it's due to the case numbers, pandemic. So, like with my second book, I had to plan out carefully when was the best time to travel. I had to wait for case numbers to drop down to be safe enough to travel outside of Korea, outside my town. Just go out and research.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And yeah, I think That'd be really cool because, like, I wish there was more resources about Jeju Island before I went. And to be fair, I didn't really look either that much because I assumed it was really small and I didn't realize how big the island was. And it was just like so many things that I didn't realize. Like, we ended up not staying next to the beach because we just assumed, like, if we're next to the water, we'd be next to the beach. But we were next to, like, it was like rocks, like a beach with rocks. Yeah. And I was just like, no, this is not a beach. And so, yeah, we could have used your book 4 years ago, but I'm happy it's here now. What do you say is your favorite piece of nerd merch that you own? And have you watched any other anime since the early days of Toonami?
Definitely. I also been watching anime. Now I don't watch as much as I used to back in college days. You know, busy work and stuff. Definitely. Oh, my favorite nerd merch. This Pokemon banner. I got a Pokemon banner when I went to the Pokemon VGC tournaments pre-COVID. Oh, and this I still have it to this day. This Smash Bros. Poster that I got from Smash Bros. Ultimate Tournament hosted by Nintendo of Korea. I went back in January, February 2019. There's another brother who showed up. I forgot his name. I can't remember his name. And we were the only two foreigners who showed up. And true story, when we entered this was at Lotte World Tower in Jamsil in Seoul. That's where the event took place. And when I walked inside, I remember the employees and staff, like when they were doing the introductions, they saw us sitting in the auditorium. They're like, "Whoa, hello," because they're so surprised to see foreigners there.
That's funny. Aww.
And also, apparently, according to some of the Korean players who spoke English, they told me that some of the players were intimidated by me because of my size.
Oh, damn.
And it's not the first time.
Yeah. I hear you're like Smash champion, right?
Nah, no? I ain't that good.
Okay.
I can hold my own. I'm part of the Smash Bros. Scene here in Korea. I actually started up all the tournaments take place in Seoul.
Mm-hmm.
And for a time, I did start a scene up in Daegu, but that's been on hiatus since 2020 for obvious reasons.
I was only asking because I know in the email you sent, it's like also known as a 6. I'm gonna say this wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my Smash Bros. ID.
That's your. Oh, okay. Got it. I was like, this sounds fancy. And like, I don't know much about Smash, so I was like, I don't know what this means. Sounds like a Smash champion to me.
Yeah, I ain't that good, nah.
Alright, well, that's cool though. That is super cool. That sounds dope. Pokemon is a classic as well.
I actually had a chance to go to the first and last offline VGC was back in December 2019 for Pokemon Sword and Shield. And
nice.
Yeah, that was the first and last offline Pokemon VGC tournament we had in Korea since. Because I think the next tournament offline tournament would take place around March or April-ish. But that didn't happen.
Oh, dang. Yeah. That is cool, though. That's the real benefit of being, like, in Asia in general. I feel like you can just be so much closer to all these anime and video game events.
Exactly. Like, even back when I was living in South Carolina, where I'm from, like, in the U.S., it's hard to go to those type of events because U.S. is so massive and certain locations only have it. And you can't go to them all the time.
Right. Yeah. What else do you stan? We talked a lot about nerd stuff, but do you stan anything else?
Honestly, I'm definitely more history.
Ooh, yeah.
I enjoy reading about history a lot more. What's that book I'm reading right now? Oh, sorry.
Bruno. Yeah.
Yes. I actually made a TikTok video about that too with that same song. Smoke it out the window. I actually made a TikTok about that one.
Nice. I gotta watch that.
Oh yeah. I think it was called. It was called Wilmington's Lie. It was a historical book about Wilmington massacre of 1898.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that book actually became more relevant. Wilmington became more relevant because of January 6th, 2021. For those who are yeah. So I highly recommend. So basically, Wilmington, for those who don't know, the Wilmington massacre, basically it's a fusion of January 6th, 2021, and Tulsa massacre. That's the best way I can describe it.
That sounds horrible, but yeah. Oh, yeah, I just quickly Googled it, and that seems like an accurate description. That is so sad.
It is. It is. I think what's a video I saw on YouTube about it once. Vox VOX. They did.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they did talk about it first, and that's what garnered my interest about learning more about Wilmington.
Yeah,
because I never heard about it. I heard about Tulsa, but never Wilmington.
Right. It's so sad how much we don't know because Black history in America is a joke when it comes to teaching it sometimes.
Oh yeah, nah, because they want to teach it. Like they're afraid to admit, like, yes, we did this. It's our fault. Like it's just, again, that's what I kind of hate about the whole idea. Like I hate sound political, of course, right now, but like when I see conservatives talking about, well, what about Korea history, blah blah blah. I was like, guys, Germany, Uganda, they talk about these genocides in school all the time. It's just teaching history, the actual history, not the lies.
Right. Yeah, but the actual history makes them look really bad, so they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, it's so sad, but what can we do? Do you have any advice for someone who would want to start writing a book or even become a teacher in Korea?
If you want to write a book, I say go for it. I think honestly, at this point with the pandemic taught me anything, it's like, okay, if there's something you always thought about trying, why not go for it? If it doesn't work out, hey, at least you say I tried it. At least.
True, very true, and specifically of like.
Now, in terms of Korea, I say if you want to try, you can, but please note, and this is not trying to like dissuade you or anything. Just note that as somebody who's lived here, who's seeing it right now, like the market for trying to teach in Korea, unfortunately, is oversaturated with people who are trying to come to Korea, and that's due to the pandemic because people lost their jobs. So if you want to try, I say you can still go for it, but just know it's going to be harder to find a job in Korea for those who are outside of Korea, and also, especially with the new variant, it's definitely going to be delaying jobs and whatnot. I'm pretty sure a lot of people, and I can say it for sure, like people who were originally going to leave Korea back in 2020 or 2021, they delayed their jobs. They extended their stays in Korea because of the pandemic. So that's why, I mean, there are job openings, but at the same time, there's some people who aren't going to leave the best jobs. Let's put it that way, because of the pandemic.
That makes sense. Yeah, I didn't even think about how the pandemic might have affected that market. Man.
Yeah, it did, especially for the hogwarts industry. Like, that got hit hard. Like,
right.
People, especially for there are people who lost their jobs when there was a case. This is back in 2020. Some hogwarts branches and independent shops, if there was a case at the school, parents would pull the kids out of the hogwarts, and of course, people which led to job loss. People lost their jobs. And especially if there's government order to shut down temporarily, you may not get paid, and that's legal.
Wow. Yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's hogwarts. Keep that in mind. It's hogwarts.
Right.
Like I said, if you still want to come, I say go for it. But again, just know what to expect. If you don't hear anything from a recruiter for a long time, it's again because they're reward. They got so many applicants trying to come to Korea more than ever.
Right. That's that good advice I'm talking about. We need to hear.
Yeah. Especially, I believe, like when it comes to living abroad in another country, you shouldn't be. Nothing should be sugarcoated. You should hear both the pros and the cons. Like you should hear everything, even though it sounds terrible. But when it comes to another country, you gotta know about what to expect.
I agree, because that's a huge leap to take, and a lot of steps to go through, to move to another country. So the more information, the better. Like, give me the full picture. Let me know all the pros, all the cons. And any advice specifically for like someone who wants to write like a traveler's guide?
I say go for it, but figure out what's your niche. Like, I mean, my content is more like, overall general black travel, right? What's something that's never been done before yet? Like, is there a travel guide for LGBT folk? Because obviously, for LGBT individuals and couples, they could use them for sure.
Yeah.
Because some countries might be cool, while other countries, like majority of Africa and Middle East and Muslim countries, like, you want to avoid if you're LGBT.
Right. Yeah. I remember with my friend, we were in Korea, and we were like just holding hands just because like we were just like trying to get through a crowd and just like, we're just like together, so we're just like making sure we're both safe. And I was just like, dang, like, is this okay? Like, are we safe if we do this? And it's just like one of those things that I don't even think about.
Yeah. Let me explain that real quick. So, in terms of South Korea's stance, unfortunately, it's a very conservative country, right? So, for Koreans, it's a nightmare to be LGBT. because there's no anti-discrimination law. So foreigners and Koreans can be fired if you're gay.
Oh wow!
You won't go to jail. You won't go to prison, anything like that. But yes, so you can be fired or discriminated against if you are gay.
Dang, I did not know that. I did know it was very conservative, and that's why I was like, man, are we actually like
no,
I don't know.
Because LGBT, yeah, because Koreans, even to this day, they still kind of believe that, do you know that meme from Avatar meme? It was like, that girl smiling and saying, there's no crime in Bong Sing Se, that type of meme from Avatar?
Yeah.
So basically kind of like that in Korea, because there's no gayness in Korea. That's the foreigner thing.
Right. Yeah. I could,
Yes.
That's
like I said, foreigners, for those who are thinking about coming to Korea and you're lesbian, gay, or bi, I would say keep it in the closet. Don't say anything, because people have been fired for being gay.
Man, that's so sad. That's so
sad. It really
sad.
is. And unfortunately, even to this day for Koreans, there are many LGBT Koreans who are married to cis straight partners who don't want to be married to them, of course, but they have to because of cultural pressure and societal pressure.
Right, yeah. I mean...
And so many of them have kids. I guarantee they didn't want to have families. They didn't want to do any of that but they have to.
Right, to keep up with appearances.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's the same way in the States and other places, but it's just so sad. Just let people live, but,
Yep.
Bigotry gone bigotry.
Yep, exactly. Now, to be fair, there are lesbian, gay, and bi folk teachers, foreigners who are teaching here in Korea.
Right.
But again, everybody would say just keep your mouth shut, because you don't know.
Right.
Some employers might be cool with it, but you just don't know who might be, So just be careful with that.
Yeah, that's good advice. I think being careful, just making sure you're putting your trust in, people you trust, I guess.
Exactly. Just keep it to yourself. Personal items, personal business, keep that to yourself. Don't tell your employers or coworkers. Even the native coworkers, you gotta be careful, because some of them might be the snitch,
True. Yeah. Dang. That's so, yeah. One day, hopefully, the world will be a better place.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess for some sage words you give, just like Sailor Moon had her. Sailor Moon says, phrase, at the end of every episode, what would your phrase be? Sailor Phil says.
Sailor Moon says, to quote Monkey D. Luffy for One Piece, if you don't take risks, you can't create a future.
Yes, I love a One Piece reference. Luffy is one of my favorites. So, yes, I completely agree. It's so true. Yeah, and what is next for you, and where can people find you?
Like I said, so for next year or 2 or 3, I'm working on my next book. So if you want to see my adventures, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at the Blerd Explorer. Both my ebooks, The Black Tribe's Guide to Incheon spelling Incheon, and The Black Tribe's Guide to Daegu Sakura, Daegu, Daegu. You can find them on Amazon right now. And like I say, if you want to see more content like that, just please support, follow my content, and also share the books with your friends. If you know somebody who loves to travel, who loves reading, tell them to check out my book if they get a chance.
Nice. And I just followed you on TikTok, so I'll be looking out for those TikTok videos. And once again, I am Victoria L. Johnson, host of the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast. And you can find me at Miss Old School on Twitter and Instagram. That's Old School with a K. And you can find me at Moonies Club on Twitter, Moonies_Club on Instagram. Also on TikTok at Sailor Victoria. And if you want some merch, we have merch at mooniesclub.com. And if you can, leave a review for us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate us, let us know if you like the podcast. Yeah, thanks for listening, Moonies. Thanks, Phil, for coming on the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast.
No, thank you for having me on.
Bye, Moonies.